Hello, and welcome back to Blue Ribbon Garage. Today we are replacing the sway bar bushings rear of a 2005 LJR TJ Unlimited Rubicon. This is my first time. I didn't really look and see what all was going to be entailed, just using my lack of mechanical knowledge and handy with my hands and caveman tools here. I'm going to be replacing them with some energy suspension. Part number 2.7103G polyurethane bushings. I wanted to knock out the first one to see how it would go before I started giving you any insight on what I ran to. Typically, I mean, it's 2 bolts to get it out, one on the axle, one on the frame, one on the driver's side axle, bolt up here on the frame. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy to get to. Don't have to take anything else apart to get to it. Just a couple of wrenches. But what I found to get the what it is you got a bushing. You got this bushing inside of this sleeve here, this wedge sleeve, some sort, inside the end of the rod here. What I found is to get Bernzomatic, MAP gas, blue would work. It would take a little bit longer to get it hot, but get your collar nice and hot all the way up and around it on the outside. You're gonna get a little bit of, you're gonna burn the bushing up a little bit on the ends. That's gonna be part of the deal, but get it good and hot. I don't know if you can see it. There's a well, if it will, maybe. There's a lip right here in between the bushing and the outside of the collar here. Once it's hot, set the outside lip here. You can kind of see the 3 rings, the bushing, the collar, and then the actual eye of the bar. Set that, spread the outs, so that collar sets inside the jaws of a vise, and pound the inside of your eye here. I'm doing this all with a damn cell phone here, so bear with me. Pound that eye out. You get it good and hot. It might take you a couple of times, couple of tries to get the bushing hot enough, but the bushing will pop out. No big deal. That's the easy way to do it. You don't have a press. You could use a press. This, like I said, this is my caveman way to do it. You could use a press. That thing will pop right out. Next, you'll have this bushing, or this sleeve wedge bushing thing inside. It's just got a little neck collar here. Where you at? A little neck collar here, a little lip on one side, not on both sides. And what I did is laid it in my vise and chiseled it down, tried to cut it in half. What I ended up doing is just shoving it in further one way, which was fine because I cut it in half on one side and then flipped it over and cut it in half from the other side, and it eventually gave me enough room that this popped out. And once that's popped out, you slide these little bad dogs on the inside, one from each side. There's 2 of them. You might have to give them a little love grease on it. Put it in your vise. drive them in, and then there's a steel pin, roll pin that goes in center here for your bolt sleeve. Per the directions, I don't know where my directions are. In my box, the kids probably grabbed them and run off with them. Suppose they give you a little bit of tube of white grease to go somewhere on there. I don't know if it's assembly grease or if it's whatnot, but I know I use PB Blaster on my, or Croil, I'm sorry, I used Croil whenever I did my shock mounts. Gave the urethane a little shot of that, slid them in, just so they didn't tear. Tried to keep from doing all that, but yep. Heat and a little bit of persistence with a chisel and a big hammer. Pop them two out, and then these just slide right in with your vise. Put them in your vise on each side of your eye, and run your vise shut, and that'll shove them inside of there. Do that both sides, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, like I said, a little caveman attitude and some cold beer, and we'll get this Jeep back together. Thanks for watching.